Welcome everybody, thank you so much for being here. We are so excited for you to be here. Our guest today is incredible. You know him from his work on Smallville, from Supernatural, and a little film called Trick or Treat, where he plays one of the icons. I think you might have heard of Trick or Treat, maybe a little bit. But please welcome Quinn Lord. Everybody just got so quiet.
It's the anticipation.
I know the anticipation. Quinn, how are you enjoying your time here in Louisville?
It's really relaxing, actually, especially on Sunday, because, well, it's kind of quiet right now, but, that's Sunday for
Yeah.
the end of the weekend.
At the end of the weekend, everybody trying to prepare to go back to work on Monday and just trying to make the best of it and things like that.
Yeah.
So have you done anything fun while you've been here in Louisville? Had a chance to go out and see the sights at all, or?
Haven't really gone out to see the sights very much. I kind of got off the plane, went to sleep, woke up, came to the convention on Saturday, and that was a lot of fun. And then I went to sleep when I woke up today, and here I am. So, yeah.
That sounds like a pretty good week. I think a lot of people here also did the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, you've been acting for quite some time. Is acting something that you always knew you wanted to do, or how did your journey into acting begin?
So, I guess if I were to go real far back, before I was born, I think, my dad did quite a bit of like improv theater, or like standing up, improv kind of stuff. So he kind of had a little bit of a knack for, performative and that. But then, that I guess stopped once I was born, and then I seemed to have this need to go out and perform whatever scene I felt like performing that day or that hour of what I watched. And what I watched at that point in my life was pretty much Pixar movies and Lucasfilm. So it was Indiana Jones, it was Star Wars, it was Toy Story 2. I think was the obsession for my 3-year-old self for the longest time. And eventually it grew into a habit. So I go into a shopping mall or whatever, and I would just start performing whatever for whoever was watching. Much to my parents' delight, but then there were also clothing shops, and they had the glass, and they had the mannequins behind the glass. And at that time, I think I was 4 or 5 years old. I would stand as still as possible, wearing whatever I was wearing, right next to the mannequin, right in the perfect spot where you think a mannequin should be. And there was something about how young I was, and people thinking to themselves, well, a kid that young wouldn't actually have the willpower to stand that still for that long, right? So I'd actually start to convince people the longer I stayed there. And, well, I got a couple people scared, because they were I got to see my first band, they're like, is that a real person?
Was your first role mannequin at Kohl's? Is that one of your first roles?
Maybe something, or various random shops, right? Yeah.
Now, you say you watched a lot of Lucasfilm or Toy Story 2. Was there any scene that you'd like to perform in Toy Story 2?
Toy Story 2, I don't think that was something I really performed very much, but that was definitely something I watched on repeat, my parents tell me. For a spell, I think it was maybe 1 or 2 months worth, and it was the only thing that I put in the DVD player over and over and over again. Don't know why, but there it was. And so, mostly it was from Star Wars, really. And I would pick up a stick, do the lightsaber battle, that type of thing. And I think there's even random lines from certain scenes. I forget which specific scenes it was, but yeah, I just had to do that. Well, yeah. Furthermore, the bedtime stories that I have memorized.
Okay.
And I just sort of recite them before they pull out the book to read them. So they're like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll just do that.
You made it really easy on your parents. They're like, go to bed, but I'm sure you're like, I'll take it tonight, Dad.
I'll recite it, yeah.
So, as a Star Wars fan, do you have a favorite Star Wars movie?
Oh boy. Well, I would just say it's a 6-movie franchise, and I really enjoyed it. One of them, yeah, for different reasons for each one. But yes, overall, I think probably 3 or 5.
Okay.
This is my top 2, because one from one trilogy, one from the prequel trilogy. It was just.
How do you feel about the sequel trilogy?
What's sequel trilogy.
You're like, it is 6 movies, there are 6 of them, and that is it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that these kinds of seem to be the general consensus. Like people like Revenge of the Sith from the first trilogy are the prequels, and then Empire Strikes Back. It's so classic.
I also have kind of come to notice it's almost like a generational thing, where it's like which Star Wars you grew up with. And so I did grow up, and my parents were showing me 4, 5, and 6 first, and then I watched 1, 2, and 3, like, when they came out. Well, not really when they came out. But maybe I watched 3 when it came out, and that's why it has a big impact on me. Because it almost has like that Spider-Man 3 from Tobey Maguire's.
Oh, yeah.
It has that meme aspect to it.
Yeah. And nowadays, you're on the internet, like there's so many prequel trilogy memes of like Padme Anakin on the hill and stuff. So I think movies now, like you gotta really meme them to really appreciate them.
Maybe. Yeah. But there is definitely something to be said about the classics too, like 4, 5, and 6.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all just the topic of Star Wars. There are many, many other movies that I think are greatest trilogies, but they continue the franchise with them.
What are some of those, in your opinion?
In my opinion, well, this is my opinion, so feel free to disagree, but I think it was a great Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy.
Okay.
Hey. But yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Is there, if you could be in any of these trilogies that you love, Pirates of the Caribbean, you mentioned Indiana Jones, Star Wars, which trilogies would you be in?
Well, here's kind of my take on that is, I guess I would kind of view those as like the greats, the things that I grew up watching and aspire to, come close to or like hold a candle to, but not actually be part of, because that's like, well, me being part of that, I'm not worthy of that, because that's the thing that formed me, and then I'm going to go and form my own kind of stuff, and hopefully that can carry on, not necessarily pass on the torch, because yeah.
Is something you're striving for?
Something I'm striving for, yeah. So if I were to try and say like, if I were to remake that, no, I would not try to remake any of these. There's something that would definitely get lost in sort of the remake of them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do it justice because I don't think I'd be able to do that caliber, but maybe close. Maybe, in my dreams.
And I think a lot of people can respect that answer, because some people are like, I could have done that so much better, and
to each their own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you said you kind of got acting by like standing so still and being like, I think I can do this. What was some of your first roles when you first got into acting?
Well, you mentioned my first role is Cole's Mannequin.
Cole's Mannequin, yes.
You're not far off. One of the first things that I got, I started off with commercials. So the very first thing I got was like a Play-Doh commercial. And that was because I just didn't care. I just wanted to Play-Doh. I was like, oh, well, there you go. But I think the first thing, it was like a package deal with commercials, and it was for Kohl's department store.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they wanted like a summer catalog or something. It's like 2006. And so I was flown all the way to South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa, for the summer, atmosphere or season or whatever. And I think someone on the crew there probably just wanted to set up some sort of vacation or something, so that's why we went that far. But it was a crazy vacation. I've never been there since, and I think that was when I developed a distaste for chocolate milk for a few years, because I just drank too much of it all at once. Yeah.
You just was like in Cape Town, South Africa, they just turned me off to chocolate milk forever?
Yep. And then later on, I was on a show called Once Upon a Time, and there was a Hansel and Gretel episode. I was playing Hansel, and they wanted me to eat a chocolate cupcake. I'm like, okay, cool, that's awesome. Take 18 rolls around. I'm not feeling it so much anymore. And to this day, I don't like cupcakes, but I did come around on chocolate milk, so that was good.
Now, when you have to do like an eating scene on like that, you're doing taking, do you have to like eat the cupcake, or do you have like do you just like actually eat a cupcake, or do you have like a bucket where you're like, I can just, did you eat 18 cupcakes? What I want to know.
Well, it was a massive cupcake that was probably half the size of this. And so, yeah, I took about as big a bite as I could in the first take, and they're like, okay, you have to match that every time. Oh, shit. And so I did that, and then of course, by the time it got to take 18, like the relative amount of cupcakes I had actually consumed at that point was maybe a little high for a kid. And so, I did ask for a spit bucket, but then of course, you know, I think there might have been miscommunication, or maybe they were doing a wide shot or something, and you know, this is however many takes, like 18 takes in from God knows how many angles. And eventually, you know, I was like, okay, maybe I can mime it because they're a wide shot or something, right? I try and bite it without biting. You know, no, you have to actually bite it because we actually see it. Shit, okay. So I see the spit bucket, bite, and then they're like, okay, good, cut. And I'm about to spit it, and someone takes the bucket away, thinking this is not the spit bucket. And I can't say anything either, so yeah, that was the end of the spit bucket. But I think that was the end of the scene too. Thing.
Yeah, you're like we got through it. So chocolate has been just kind of something that's haunted you your entire career.
Just chocolate cupcakes.
Yeah, chocolate cupcakes. Now, when you did, well, how is it different from doing like commercial work and doing like a commercial? How is that different from doing like a role on a series or like an appearance in a movie?
Well, the thing that I've kind of noticed for the most part is like there's different subcategories of acting, I suppose, because there's like, you know, there's like the play stage acting where you have to make sure like the back of the audience or like the back row can actually hear you, so you definitely over the top and whatever, right, and you project your voice and whatnot. But then of course there's a level of realism that is taken away from it. So like people who are like, you know, close to you like this, it's going to look very strange if I start yelling at you like this, or you know, if it's like an intimate on screen kind of thing. Commercials kind of take, I guess, the play energy. TV is a little, you know, it's much less so, but then for film and stuff, it's all like, you know, you get your whole face on like a screen much bigger than this backdrop here. So it is more and more magnified, and it's more like the subtleties and stuff. So I did tend to like the television and film acting more as time went on. So yeah, it was. I think that was kind of the change that I made soon after the Coles department.
Yeah.
Like, I got a little tired of smiling all the time. The energy, and it's like, I wanted something I could do that was a bit different. Yeah. And so thus began the TV career. Not very long after that is when I started getting auditions for movies such as Trick or Treat. Yeah. At like 6 or 7 years old. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think Trick or Treat is what a lot of people are going to be very excited about. We had a Sam who was here a second ago, and then they.
Well, that's the thing about Sam. He shows up and disappears. Out of nowhere, he's just with a. Yeah.
How old were you when you booked Sam for Trick or Treat?
I think I just turned 7, and this is like 1 year after the Coles department store collection of commercials.
Yeah.
So this is very soon after. This is back when of the person, and then they would kind of like staple it to the thing, and you know, they have like a person on standby before going in, they have the person in the room, and so they take like the staple together piece of paper, the headshot, the whole, and they hand it to like the casting director, the director, producer, if there was like a session like that. And then of course it's like a little brief summary of, oh, this is the next person coming in, and then they send it. And so it turned out to be a producer-director session with Michael Dougherty for Trick or Treat, and that was awesome. And I actually auditioned twice for Trick or Treat. One was for Principal Wilkins' son.
Okay.
And the other one was for Sam, and Sam had lines.
Sam used to have lines?
Yes, well, technically it was more like the Halloween jingle, that Trick or Treat, give me something good to eat, but that was like the scene where he's walking menacingly towards Old Man Creed and was about to deliver the final blow, right? But while he's doing that, I started using the deep demonic voice of Trick or Treat at 7 years old. But I think what ended up making the difference there, as far as the Sam audition, was the having watched the season's greetings, which is the animation that Michael Dougherty made for the original concept art of Sam. That really gave me a lot of insight into who this character was. And in doing so, I kind of felt like from the scenes that I performed for him, I didn't quite communicate the character as much as I wanted to. So I kind of said, one more thing, do you want me to show you something I think Sam would do? And so Mike, yeah, sure. So I knelt down, started petting a cat, that wasn't there, and then picked it up by the tail and just walked off with it. And that was so, like, that seemed to really work, because I think even Mike references like maybe 10 years ago, and something like that.
Yeah.
It seemed to have made a mark, and I'm so glad about that.
Yeah, because I was going to ask if you got to see the actual season screening, because they did a re-release this past Halloween of Trick or Treat, and they finally got like a remastered version of that, so I got to see it for the first time. So I was wondering if you got to see that and how much that inspired you, or how much you took from that. So that's cool that you guys got to see them, like, got to, even at the age you were, be like, have enough intuition to be like, I think I should pick this imaginary cat up and go for it. So.
Oh yeah. And now what's even funnier about that is, like, I'm going to all these conventions every year. Every convention I go to is like doing like artwork and merchandise and stuff. And I'm actually starting to see it pop up in some artworks, like a black cat that's in Sam's bag, or it's reaching for the black cat to put in the bag. And it might have even made it into the movie as well, where he turns away after grabbing the candy bar and uses the way that has the razor blade in it. He pulls the sack down the stairs, and it sounds like there's a cat in the bag.
Yeah.
So.
How was shooting Trick or Treat and like being in the costume, and what was that like, just doing that after getting the part?
Very cozy. Yeah, very cozy. And as far as getting the part was concerned, I was technically offered both roles, but my parents felt more at home killing people than saying bad words. And I'm glad for that, because it's turned out different. However, what was the question?
How was it like being on set, like being in the costume and being Sam?
Yes, it was very cozy.
Yeah.
As anyone cosplaying Sam will know, the fabric is incredibly warm. And so it kept me warm, with or without thermals, in the middle of winter in Vancouver, Canada, which is where we filmed. And sometimes they would have to actually scrape some of the snow off the sides of the street to make it look like an auto shop. And there I am running around with like footsie pajamas, which underneath I'm only wearing like water shoes.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I step in a puddle, it's ice cold, great.
It's always fun hearing how sets have to do that, because when they shot Halloween, they'd like bring in leaves and like make it look fall, and you're like, they had to scrape snow in Vancouver to make it look like fall. But how did they get did you have to wear like a headpiece to have to get the round shape?
Yeah, so to this day, I still can't quite pin down in my own like understanding what the kind of fabric or papier-mâché type of material was. On the inside, it was more or less like a scuba helmet, where I just had like a little slit to see and a slit to breathe, where I could see through both, so I could kind of see where I'm going, because that's the helmet that was underneath, but then they have burlap over top of that, so it's just like looking through a bed sheet. But when it's dark out, it's nighttime. I think the worst thing that I almost did, and I don't think I did do, was stub my toe on any of the curves. Because like, you have to kind of push around with your feet a little bit, get to understand the environment, and be like, okay, I'm this far away from the curb, or this far away from a puddle, or something like that. But yeah, I think after a while I did kind of get used to being able to see things, and I guess it comes down to motion in a sense, because you can kind of almost like move your head side to side, and the image behind the like what you get to see through
the mesh.
The mesh, yeah, it kind of your brain fills in the gap a little bit.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of things like that. The head tilt kind of helps with that.
Yeah.
So that's part of the origin of it, I guess.
And then when, of course, you get the big reveal of Sam when he gets the mask taken off, was that you in the prosthetic at all?
So for the initial reveal and like the actual fight and crawling on the ceiling, no. Something I really wanted to crawl on the ceiling, but something about a 7-year-old climbing on the ceiling, harness or not, people were a little uneasy on. But what they did let me do, because I really, really wanted to, is they had the scene where there was a noise upstairs, and so Creed's going over to the light switch and he flicks it on. You get to see the light bulb explode, and that's me running underneath. So they actually let me run under an exploding light bulb.
Oh, that's fun.
So that was really cool. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And of course, after I run across and I'm standing on the other side, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just dust off the top of your head and try again.
Now, seeing as Trick or Treat has gone on to become this cult classic, you shot it in like 2006, somewhere around there, and then this was shot in 2007, and then it didn't come out for 2 years. As a kid who's very excited to see themselves in this movie, what was the waiting like, and how did that just feel as an actor who's like, I want to see this thing that I made?
So a lot of it had to do with, I kind of was forgetting that it was kind of like a movie that was being filmed, and I did get to see some of like the instant replay on this or that, or not necessarily the B-cam footage or whatever, because they have like the monitors and whatnot. As soon as you walk off the set or like the camera angle, you just walk around behind the camera, you can see like an instant replay of like another day's recording or something if they're editing it or color grading or whatever on the day. But I think for the most part, I was just really submerged in the on-set experience. And I guess I did kind of overhear through my parents finding out this information because I'm still a kid about like the whole delay, not getting a theatrical release, and then of course going to like these different horror events where Mike would actually have it like screened on a big screen, but in like a limited fashion. I think it was like different, not necessarily horror conventions, but
like film festivals?
Yeah, film festivals.
Yeah.
And so that was an experience.
Yeah.
Getting to watch it like that. But yeah, it was good. And of course, for a while, I could only watch 3/4 of the movie due to I think it was sexual content or sexual material in the movie.
There are some werewolves that get a little negative at one
Yes,
point.
yes, exactly. Yeah. So for a little while, I didn't watch the full movie, and then eventually I did watch the full movie, and I was like, this is what I was not supposed to be watching earlier.
Have you enjoyed this? Like, when was it for you? When did it occur to you that people were, because it came out on DVD, straight to DVD in 2009, and people who were horror fans kind of knew like it was coming and like were excited. I was very excited when it came out finally. But when did it occur to you that this thing is like getting a cult following and like people love this character?
So it kind of came as a surprise to me after a while. I think it might have been like 2011 or 2012, sometime around then, that I was just kind of overhearing that my parents were saying something about how I could go to a convention for, I think it was like Trick or Treat or something. What does that mean? And so eventually it was like, okay, sure, let's go to an event for Trick or Treat. I've been to those before, and this was not anything like what I was doing like with the film festival before that. And so I think it was Horror Hound Cincinnati that I went to. It was like my first convention ever in 2011 or 2012. And so I went there, and people still had like the collapsible lens, like handheld cameras and stuff. And, with the flashes going on. Not many people had smartphones at that point, and I just started doing the convention circuit from there on, and it was really engaging. I got to meet all the people who watched the movie, and it was something I had never really experienced before, which was people who had watched the movie, who liked the movie, and they wanted to see like the person who's in the movie, and I was like, I am that person. This is really weird. Usually it's like, the film festival, you all watch the movie, and then everyone's like, oh, that was a cool movie, or, they say whatever they want to say about the movie, and then, everyone disperses. But no, this was a reverse of that, where everyone condensed into a certain area and shared the love for the movie, and I got to see a whole bunch. I think it might have been from that convention, or maybe very soon after, someone gave me like a handmade, one-of-a-kind voodoo doll.
Oh, a voodoo doll.
Yeah, and it was literally like about this tall, and it was made out of the same fabric. It was made out of like a little bit of burlap, and I just had that for 15 years now. That's like one of the first things that someone ever just, was like, hey, I made this for you, and then they walked away, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll keep it.
At least they made it for you and not of you, so that's good.
I have tested that.
What is it about the Sam character that you think people love so much, and why he's become, honestly, almost like a mascot of Halloween now?
Well, there's a whole bunch of different reasons, and I think to each their own, for like reasons of why someone would like a movie for this reason versus that other reason. And I guess it comes down to well, I've heard so many different stories where it's like people have seen like the previews on other DVDs, and then they wondered where it went, and then they finally got it, or like they rented it from a Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Someone told me that at like this convention, and they were saying that was a sign of their age. I'm like, no, that's a sign of my age, because I was in the movie that you rented. But there's so many different aspects, especially for the Sam character. It's like a anthology movie, so it's like the spirit of Halloween rather than just many events taking place on Halloween. It's more so about the holiday and like why it's there and the tradition, what it's all about, and it's kind of like a whole lore perspective. But at the same time, I've also heard that I think some people will watch the movie, but then their kids see the character and they think the character is cute.
Yeah.
And like there's almost not necessarily a misinterpretation,
Yeah.
but there's like the full cute factor.
Yeah.
And then
He's very blushable.
Yeah. But then at the same time, some people think it's insanely scary, especially when the mask comes off.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I go from mostly blind, wearing the burlap sack, when it's not like the stunt fight or whatnot, I'm actually wearing the animatronic face. At which point I can't see a thing.
Oh, okay.
So I found out at that point in my life I don't have claustrophobia. Because it was like, it wasn't actually like a plaster kind of thing. It was like a rubbery kind of animatronic mask. And yes, it was like stuck to like my neck and stuff. It was a tight fit.
Mm.
But they did like a full head cast, an arm cast for Sam. I keep forgetting it happened.
Yeah, and I think as a kid, I'd be freaking out if they didn't do that. That'd be just like, oh, get me out of this.
Oh, no. It was explained to me fully, so I was like, okay.
Now, a few years ago, didn't they bring Sam back for some shorts for like Easter, I think?
I think they did. It was like something like that. And is that the one also where it was Sam and it was also Michael Myers?
I think so. Were you involved in that at all, or did they bring you back for? So you never got. Would you like to come back and let's ask the big question now. Trick or Treat 2
Yes.
is never going to happen, and
it has been written. That's a fact.
Okay.
Now that is the most recent bit of information that I've heard, and I think that's about a year old now. So now speculation time. I'm assuming the tug of war is between Mike and the studio. This is all my guesswork. And it kind of makes sense too, because Trick or Treat and Sam and like all the lore is Mike's creation, and he wants to have full creative control over it, just like he did the first time, for the first movie, so that he can have like the highest probability of coming out with as good a part as the first movie. That's my thoughts on what might be going on right now. And I hope it goes his way.
Yeah. Would you be involved if it were to go that way? Would you like to be involved?
If they approach me, I'm definitely saying yes.
Yeah. Do you think they would approach you to be Sam again, or would you be a different character? Or
well, I did play two characters the first time. I would be totally up for reprising both. Do you remember the werewolf storyline?
Yes.
And that is me. Yes.
You're the creeper looking under all the stalls.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is a human character who can grow up. At the very least, technically that character.
Do you want to be there? I don't know if we want to see what he's up to.
I don't know. Maybe ironically he could be murdered by Sam for doing wrong things.
We're getting real meta here. If you're gonna have you kill you at this point.
Who knows?
All right, well, we've got some time here. I think if these fine people would like to ask you some questions.
Yes, I have open questions.
Who has some questions for Quinn about anything that he has done?
Absolutely anything. Like, it doesn't even have to be about my occupation.
We were talking about video games backstage, so if you got anything you're playing right now? Right here.
Any other roles I'd like to just portray? Oh, roles. Well, I guess I haven't quite played the proper villain yet. But it's an interesting thing because you think of Sam and Trick or Treat, it's not necessarily a proper villain. It's more like a enforcer of the rules. So I remember I was invited on like a villains panel at a convention once, and I was like, do I really belong here? Is Sam really a villain? Is he really going out of his way to start, killing people and causing mischief? I mean, on set, yes, I definitely was, but like the character itself was like, you do the traditional things, you stick to the Halloween tradition, you'll be fine. But I guess perhaps playing an actual, literally evil, out for evil kind of villain would be kind of interesting, or some sort of monstrosity of some sort. Because one of, actually I got asked some questions earlier today about like my favorite horror character, and I ended up saying the monster, or just the Thing from the movie Thing by John Carpenter, and that's not really a character, that's more of like a thing. But yeah, I guess I haven't really played too much into hero either. It's kind of like a bit of a blur in between. But as far as horror movies are concerned, yes, I haven't played much of the protagonist nor the full antagonist either. So I think either one could be quite fun.
Before doing Trick or Treat, were you a fan of the horror genre, or had you been exposed to a lot of horror?
Yes, I think the big, I guess one could call it a problem, is I don't really get scared of many things. I also learned early on that for jump scares, because I didn't really like jump scares, I really like more of the psychological horror and stuff. That I would just cover my ears for parts that I knew there was a jump scare coming, because it was all in the music that would actually get you to the jump scare.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to watch it, I'm not going to cover my eyes. So I just covered my ears instead. But that was mainly just for jump scares. I did kind of like a lot of the horror movies I watched. I can't say I watched too many of them. The only thing that really scared me at the time was like natural disaster movies.
Yeah, because those could happen, kind
Yeah,
of.
things like, I think it was like the movie Volcano or something. And it's like, okay, well, that's what I'm scared of. But I'm not scared of, The Shining or something like that, right? I did tend to watch a lot more science fiction, fantasy, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's the genre that I'm drawn mostly to. But I still do like horror, so like sci-fi horror, like The Thing or Alien. That's definitely more up my alley.
Have you ever seen Event Horizon?
Yes, and I was meaning to rewatch that actually. Now that I think I've watched like some video essay somewhere saying that it like relates to Warhammer somehow. And I'm like, okay, well now I have to rewatch this. And then someone also in some other video essay like 5 or 6 years ago, I came across someone was saying the movie Snowpiercer somehow loosely connected to the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory back in the 60s. And I'm like, okay, now I have to go and find that connection by rewatching it. So,
If you go down enough YouTube rabbit holes, everything is connected.
yeah, I love my YouTube rabbit holes.
We all do. Anybody else have any questions? Yes.
So as a child actor, was there ever a time where maybe you wanted to audition for a role, but your parents were like, no, or vice versa, they wanted you to audition for a role, and you were like, no?
I don't think there's ever really much disagreement. I guess the most disagreement that might have happened was in the choice of which role I went ahead with for Trick or Treat, because it was Principal Wilkins' son who said a whole bunch of bad words when Sam was killing people. I think maybe it was just the difference between those characters, because I was okay with either one, but then they're like, no, I guess choose one, probably this one, because we don't want you saying these bad words, and I guess whether it's okay to say or not, I'm pretty sure the original wording for Principal Wilkins' dialogue is actually a lot worse than what was in the movie. So, yeah, I guess in retrospect, or retroactively thinking about it, I do agree with the decision of going to Sam. So, But I think that's the closest we ever really got to a disagreement. Yeah, I think maybe there were a couple of characters that I enjoyed a little too much when auditioning for, but I didn't get it.
Well, what characters were those?
Oh, I remember. I think there was one where it was like, it was just like absolutely wild audition where I was like, I think they had, in the audition and they had like props, like hard candies or something, and I was supposed to like completely lose my shit and attack the little fold-out chair that they had. I'm like, okay. So, yeah, I just let loose on that, and then of course they're like, no, that was really good. You really went the extra mile. I'm like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that wrong.
Maybe I shouldn't go this crazy with it.
I don't know. I don't even remember what that was for. Yeah.
Now
Did you
you,
ever-
no, go ahead.
Did you ever have to like choose between two roles, like maybe you auditioned for several roles and you're like, well, I have to choose between these and,
Yeah.
because so many times you hear actors, well, I gave up this role to take this role and this one
Yeah.
worked out, or vice versa, it didn't work out, or.
So what ended up happening, like the time that happened for me, I think that might have happened a few times, but like the one that I remember was there was like I think there was like a walk-on one-off episode or something, like guest star role or something that filmed in like Toronto, Canada, and it was like on the local network and whatnot. And it's like, okay, well, that one is pretty good. It's a pretty good paying gig. But then at the same time, I also auditioned for a movie called Imaginarium, and that was like fully like it was a full like feature film kind of movie. And it was like all green screen studio, filmed in Montreal and like Quebec. And it was just such a cool concept to me. I was like, okay, I'm picking that one. I don't care about any of like these specifics, like that had a really cool script. And so like the premise of it, I think the one that I turned down in favor of that was like some sort of like, I think it was like a detective show or something. That was like one episode of, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go to like Montreal and be part of the script where the whole concept was like what goes on inside the mind of someone with dementia. And it was a literal roller coaster ride because there was, well, a roller coaster involved and a lot of crazy visuals and I guess like kind of dreamy sequences at the same time. It was very surreal, and they really leaned into the surreal aspect of it. And of course, now I'm kind of hooked on some of the songs done by Nightwish that they released in that movie. So that was really cool to see them perform that live in studio and stuff. So that's, yeah, I'm very happy I made that decision.
You mentioned that you being on the set of Trick or Treat, and Sam was kind of mischievous on there. Were you as an actor, were you as a kid mischievous on the set of Trick or Treat?
Within reason, yeah. You know, Mike Doherty is a prankster, so he kept the cast and crew very entertained with pranks, jokes, and all that sort of stuff. He taught me red rum before I watched the show. So I'm going up to everyone saying red rum and stuff. And so that combined with, I think, yeah, despite me wearing bright orange, I was short enough and I was quick enough that, you know, I didn't start, that I could duck away and, you know, they'd lose track of me. And then I'd show up somewhere else or, you know, do this, do that. And, I think I'd have like my snow boots on. But I think to celebrate Christmas, I came in, I had like this little Santa Claus hat with an attached beard. And like mustache was like hung in front of the face, and I called myself the Santa Claus.
Oh.
Gift to the cast.
I love a good pun.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as mischievous goes, it was more like I was going and assisting the director in his parents. Just randomly going up to people saying, running away.
You brought the Danny Torrance vibes to the set of to the set of Trick or Treat.
Yes.
So do you prefer, like when you have roles where you go and you do the role like a guest appearance on an episode or like film the movie versus having a recurring role like Firefly Lane where you had to go back like season after season after season? Like, do you have a preference?
Well, I think it's apples and oranges, but at the same time, I think the only way they really directly could be measured against each other is series have a lot longer of a time frame to work with. So you can see the evolution of like a character through not just episode to episode, from like season to season. And what's kind of interesting about, like you mentioned Firefly Lane, I think one of the main reasons I was cast in Firefly Lane, along with the same actor who played my mom in that, was because I was already in a previous TV series with her as my mom, called The Man in the High Castle. And so, yeah, I think a lot of that had to do with, and this is speculation, there's no real hard evidence of this, but I think I might have been potentially chosen for Man in the High Castle because I had been cast in the one episode of Fringe. So it's almost like a one thing feeds the next thing feeds the next thing, and then yeah, it's I know a little bit on the tangent there. Sorry.
Of these shows that you did like one guest appearance on, do you have a favorite?
No, there's so many that I've been a part of, and I think that makes up just about most of my entire resume, to be honest, is like these walk-on parts. Because that's usually what you get when you're in Vancouver is, they'll bring in like the main like 1, 2, 3 people from like whoever they had in mind, and then you audition for like all the guest stars here, maybe the supporting there, but mostly guest star stuff. And so it's really nice to get the guest star stuff. So despite being in multiple episodes of, let's say, Firefly Lane or The Man in the High Castle, those did still count as guest star roles rather than recurring. So it's really interesting like how they divvy it all up and all that. So yeah. So I guess technically, I could say, as far as you're saying guest appearances, guest star, and how that all counts. Perhaps Man in the High Castle, because I feel like some of the scenes that I got to be part of in Man in the High Castle, and I think maybe more so in, well, I'm not going to spoil which season, but there are things that happen in the show. But yeah, I think I had some more opportunities to portray, not necessarily difficult emotions, but like, yeah, I feel like I had the opportunity to do some of my better work there. But not in every scene. Yeah, it's just wherever.
All right, I think we got time. If anybody has one more question left, bring it right here.
Do you live and follow the rules of Halloween?
I do follow the rules of Halloween. You've got to wear a costume. You've got to hand out the treats. And you've got to, and you do check the camera.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people say that Sam could be the kind of guardian, whatever he is, of other holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that there's any plausibility to that?
Well, it's all to do with how the Halloween holiday is put together, I suppose, and how Sam operates during that holiday. You know, who's to say there aren't potential, let's say, mascots for other holidays, right?
Yeah.
And maybe it's the different times of year they come out to play or not come out to play, and how do they interact with one another?
Yeah.
That's just my mind going down a rabbit hole with my own creative there.
I mean, you were Santa Claus, so he could be there for Christmas.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would go from using a pumpkin lollipop to a candy cane.
Yeah, I mean, the transition seems seamless to me, so.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, there's Krampus. I mean, Mike Doherty, he did do Krampus.
You did?
Yeah, so I think I like to think they're in the same universe, so.
Yeah, Well, I mean, it's that time of the year. I
Yeah.
wonder, like, maybe there are different times of the year, different things come into play. I mean, that's speculation on my part, but I don't know. I wonder what Mike would have to say about it.
Yeah. We should call him right now and be like, hey, what's up? We gotta discuss all this.
Yeah, what happens during Easter? What happens during,
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
All right, well, Quinn, it has been an absolute delight having you here. Everybody, please give Quinn a big round of applause for being here. If you have any questions, please ask his table. All right, just go say hello. You can ask him questions or whatever. And we just appreciate you being here so much. Thank you. Good Lord, everybody. Thank you.